If I could have your attention here in the media center and up in the press box, we'll begin today's post-race media availability in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series for the 48th Annual Pure Michigan 400. We're joined by today's runner-up, Martin Truex Jr. Martin, you won a stage. Looked like things are going to go well for you there going into that final restart in overtime. Could you please walk us through what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, just we got beat fair and square. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Double file restarts are tricky, and I'd had good restarts all day, I felt like, and we had that red flag for the first time, and really just sat there a while, got the tires cold, and then only had one lap to come around, coming to the green to get some heat back in them, and I just struggled getting going, just spun the tires, and I didn't really expect it because I hadn't had any trouble with that all day. So just just one of them things that happens. It's like I said again, the double file restarts are tricky, and sometimes you do them right, sometimes you screw them up, and unfortunately I screwed the one up that mattered the most today. But proud of our team for the run we had, and both cars running strong up front all day, and both having a shot at the win there. So hate it for my guys obviously, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
We are also now joined by our third place finisher and our top Sunoco Rookie of the Year contender, and that is Erik Jones, driver of the number 77 Outer Energy Toyota for Furniture Road Racing. Erik, tremendous run out there for you today. Could you please walk us through the final restart from your perspective?
Yeah, I heard the last part of what Martin said there coming in. It's the same thing. I just, one lap to kind of get some heat back in your stuff after that red flag, and unfortunately, I just couldn't get going. I was spinning my tires, and the 20 got to the bottom of me, and the 42 was to the right of me. I saw them both getting runs and kind of had to pick one or the other, and picked wrong, and 42 went up the middle and was able to go by both of us. So just, didn't work out. Wish it would have worked out a little bit better. It was looking like a Furniture Row 1-2, kind of either way it was going to play out. So, just didn't work out the way we wanted to.
Okay, we're going to open up for questions. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, please raise your hand and get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Bob Duff and then go to Bob Pockers.
When you're running second there, and did you let your mind entertain the thought of what it would have been like to win your first NASCAR race, basically on what's your home track?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. We got that red flag, and gives you a lot of time to at least play through some different scenarios on the restart and how you want it to work out. It's very rare it ever works out the way you picture it in your head, but you definitely ponder on what that would be like, and it seemed like right off the bat on the restart, Martin and I would kind of match lap times for a few laps, and Martin would start to inch away after a couple laps. So I knew we had a shot right on the restart. We were just as quick, I felt like, right off the bat, and would have been nice to be able to seal the deal for sure.
Go next to Bob, then to Matt.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. Martin, obviously from the way you restarted, it didn't look like you cared very much that Erik really could have used a win for the playoffs.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, it means that
we don't have team orders. Nobody lets each other win. I mean, he's going to win some races. His turn will come.
My question is would any thought of letting him win not come across you because of the way you race?
No,
or
it doesn't. That's not how we race, Bob. Nobody out there races that way. Nobody's going to give a cup win up. They're too hard to get.
Does the fact that 5 playoff points also are involved, does that matter?
Absolutely.
Let's go next to Matt.
On that last restart, it was 4 wide for a second. How did that end not in a crash?
Oh, everybody stayed off each other. I don't know. I mean,
I was pointing at the infield for half of 1 and 2, so I don't know. I mean, for me, it was an easy choice. It really doesn't matter if we crashed. I mean, the only thing that was going to benefit us was a win, so we were in the middle, and I just kept going and hoped that I would get enough air to keep moving along. So I think everybody was kind of on the same page, and it just worked out.
We'll go to the gentleman back there in the red who's raising his hand.
Matthew Copeland, WTOL. When there's a red flag so late in the race, is there a strategy talk you're having with your crew chiefs at that time?
Yeah, I mean, you're just talking a little bit about trying to manage your brakes and all that stuff. Everything's a little different when you have to stop and sit there for a while. So just manage your battery, your volts, and turn all your fans off and all that kind of stuff. Really, is about it. And then, it's not really rocket science. Everybody's out there in the same boat trying to sit there and think about, okay, what am I going to do in the restart? How am I going to try to, advance my position or win or keep guys behind me or whatever it is. So you just think about the situation you're going to be in on the restart and try to do the best job you can.
We go to the gentleman in the Red Sox hat, and then up front to George.
Max Cotton with the Argus Press. Eric, you just kind of take me through your year this year. Some of the biggest things you've learned. How do you think you've performed this year?
I think the biggest thing that's going through this year I've been learning and trying to improve on is just the preparation for each weekend. I think the trucks and the Xfinity series, you didn't really have to prepare at all. At least I guess I didn't, and it kind of worked out most of the time, and then you get to the Cup Series and you do that, and it's like, well, you kind of feel a little bit out to lunch when you show up and you're off the pace and things aren't working out. So I've really tried harder this, I would say, after the first quarter of the year to really focus in and try to prepare better, look at the data, look at the use the tools that are available to me and try to improve. And I think just going through the year and coming back to these tracks for the second time is a big help for us as well. At least it is for me. I know better throughout the day what I'm looking for in the race car and what I want is a feel in the race car through practice. So, performance-wise, I think we've been up and down. We've had good days. We've had bad days. We've had days where we should have run better, and we've had days where we ran better than we should have. So it's been up and down, like I said. But overall, I think we've done a pretty good job.
We'll go next to George, then to Mike, and then upstairs to the press box.
George Poley, the Macomb Daily. Martin, it was suggested earlier this weekend that maybe Toyota didn't bring the best stuff or whatever this weekend. Just your thoughts about that, and did the performance today put that to bed?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how everybody looks at it. I think that for Brad and those guys that think that maybe we're sandbagging, I think it's a glimpse of, if they get their stuff right, maybe they can beat us, and it's not all just that we have better race cars, so we were off a little bit on Friday. They were obviously on, and they beat us. Today I thought we had a couple cars that were capable of winning. And a couple that weren't, so it just depends on the week where we're at. I feel good about our race cars and what we've been doing all year, and we brought some new stuff here this weekend to try to get better, and that's what we'll continue to do.
We'll go next to Mike.
Yeah, Mike Brudenell, Auto Week. Stage racing, can both of you talk to it? Is it tougher physically and mentally on you than the old format? You're having 3 races, in a day, basically, sprint races.
What's that?
I'm just angry.
Yeah, I think more just frustration than anything for us. But I think it's physically easier. You got scheduled breaks throughout the race. Today was an exception. Obviously, we ran green for a large majority of it. But mentally, I think there's a lot more preparation in the crew chief side. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think it almost, in a way, makes it easier for the crew chief to call because they know when the caution's coming for the most part. Obviously, it gets jumbled up sometimes like it did at the end of the day. And today, when you had 8 cars that were staying out and everybody else had pitted so they could come in and take tires, we had to stay out. So there are some strategy things that come into play, but overall, I think it's benefited the racing in the sense that at least we have something to go for in the quarter and midpoint of these races.
We'll go next to the press box and then back down to John.
Question for Martin Truex, Wolfgang Munzer, Rennsport Press Agency from Germany. Watching the race from the press box, I had the impression, maybe it's wrong, but it looks like that when you were running with Erik at the front for many laps, you were going identical speed. Can you tell me if your setup is identical or similar?
No. I'm sure they're pretty. I'm sure they're pretty close.
Know.
I don't know if they're identical or not, to be honest with you. No idea.
Do we have additional questions from the press box?
Thank you, guys.
Yep,
We've got John back there. Yep.
Hey guys, John Kubo, Shake and Bake, Cleveland, Ohio. I know you're pissed. I'm not going to ask you about today. But on your season overall, and since we're in Michigan, I kind of compare what you guys are doing this year to the 2003 Pistons. That there's other glam, there's a lot of other, bells and whistles from other teams, but you guys are doing just an amazing job for being that small team in Denver. How much does that play into what you guys do every day? I mean, how much does that mean to you that you're able to accomplish this the way you guys are racing, against the larger teams?
I think it's really neat. I mean, I've been this is my 4th year with Furniture Row Racing, and I feel like we've come a long way since where we started. We've made good decisions on, partnerships, and we've been fortunate to get in some good situations. We're by no, I mean, we're a small team, but we're by no means underfunded or an underdog, because of the alliance we have and the partnership with Toyota and those type of things. So it's neat for our guys to be in Denver, kind of do things different, especially for Barney, our owner. People 10 years, 11 years ago told him that it couldn't be done, out of Denver. So I think that's a sense of pride and that our guys in particular carry around with them. But aside from that, I think that, the last couple of years we've shown that we belong and, we're not going anywhere. So we don't kind of act like it's such a big deal anymore.
Matt?
One more question about that final restart. As you're sitting there under red, trying to figure out what you're gonna do when the race restarts, are you thinking about Kyle Larson in particular and what he might do to counter that? Like, what would have been his distinctive move, and did he do what you thought he was going to do?
Yeah, there is no distinctive move. I mean, if a guy screws up in front of you, you take advantage. So I screwed up, he took advantage. That's the way it works. Typically it's a lot easier to not spin their tires when you're in the second row than it is when you're on the first row, whether you're first or second. The first row, for whatever reason, it's always more difficult. The guys behind you always lay back. They can always time the run. Kyle laid back a car length coming into the restart zone, and so I waited later in the zone to go, waiting for him to catch up to me, and actually wanted him to hit me. And when he did, I tried to go, and it spun the tires. So I did everything right. It caught me by surprise because, like I said, I hadn't spun the tires all day long. Did not expect to have an issue with it, and I did. And when I did, there was nothing I could do. I was just helpless, and he had the momentum and done what everybody else would have done. I mean, it's just my screw up gave him the win, basically.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, thanks for joining us today, and good luck next week in Bristol. If I can have your attention now in the media center and up in the press box. We are now joined by Jim Campbell, Vice President, Performance Vehicles and Motorsports for Chevrolet. And Jim, you've brought in with you the Michigan Heritage Trophy, which is a recognition and celebration of the automobile and its importance here to the state of Michigan and the Michigan International Speedway. Presented to the winning manufacturer. You get to keep this one for a little while longer. How special is it for you to walk away with this trophy, to be able to put this back in your office?
Well, it's very special. First of all, hello to everybody, and it's always great to race at Michigan National Speedway. When this trophy came into being, we were part of the effort, along with the other manufacturers and the Speedway, to agree to get this thing going. And it's been awarded, 9 times. We've had a chance to win it 6 times. Kyle Larson, Chip Ganassi, and Chevrolet the last 3 times consecutively to put in the winner's circle. So this trophy is celebrated back at our headquarters, and we'll be really proud to bring this back home.
How big, Kyle Larson winning this for you 3 consecutive times. Just talk about the kind of talent he brings to the table for Chevrolet and what he means to that organization.
Well, he's a true racer. Kyle Larson is a true racer. Obviously, he was racing in Knoxville last night. Got in here late. I saw him today, had a chance to meet with him along with Chip and the team, and he had energy. He was ready to go today. And I think really excited about having the opportunity to do both races that Chip and the team gave him. So that was great. And then Kyle brought us our 9th win of the season. That compares to 8 for Ford, 6 for Toyota. And they haven't done the final calculations, but I think that puts Chevrolet back in the points lead on the manufacturer points. Obviously, we still have a number of races to go here before the season's over. But it was really a terrific day. Obviously, very intense competition on the track. Kyle Larson, Chip Ganassi, and the Chevrolet guys led the right lap.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll go and start with John.
Yeah, we got them. They know. They said okay.
Congratulations, Jim. John Cupo, Shake and Bake, Cleveland, Ohio. They say great things comes in threes. You released the Camaro this morning. Now you got this. There's 6 hours left in the day. What's coming up next?
Well, Bubba Wallace won the truck race the other day, too, so there's your third. There you go. But actually it was, to that point, we're obviously been working on the new Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 race car. It was really a proud moment to reveal it in front of our Chevrolet World headquarters in Detroit on a Renaissance Center right on Jefferson Avenue. Jimmy Johnson drove the race car for the first time and brought it in for the big reveal. And really, for large part, I don't know if anybody knew we were bringing that one out. There was talk about Malibu and Pala and all these others. It was the Camaro ZL1. We're proud to bring that to the race next year. We have the race car out in our fan display area, along with the ZL1 production car, and the fans are loving it. So we're really proud to do that this week. Bubba Wallace gets his win, and then Kyle Larson, Chip Ganassi, and the Chevy guys in the 42 team brought our third of the weekend. It was really exciting week.
We'll go upstairs to the press box.
Yeah, one question. First of all, congratulations, Wolfgang Monser, Rennsport Press Agency from Germany. Jim, a very personal question concerning the trophy. I'm a little bit confused of the design. It looks like the Chrysler building in New York. Can you give some details about that?
Well, I don't. Any way you kind of cut it, Chevrolet's name appears in this thing 6 out of 9 times, so we like that. We like that design feature a lot. Thanks, Wolfgang.
Do we have any additional questions from the press box?
No.
Any questions here in the media center, in the deadline room? Jim? Oh, hold on a second. We got Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN. Just talk about the bragging rights amongst you guys, and you and Ford being up here, and obviously Toyota wanting to win in your backyard. Talk about the bragging rights of having that trophy.
Well, there's a lot of pride. It really is a lot of pride. What we do is we'll take this back to our headquarters tomorrow. We'll have a chance to celebrate the race win, having the trophy here for the rest of this year. This is our 3rd time in a row, 6th time overall. So when it's not at our headquarters, it feels like something's missing. So this is always an important win for us, and obviously taking this back to celebrate. It's a point of pride more than anything. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Congratulations. If I can have your attention here in the media center in the press box, we will continue on with today's post-race media availability, and we're joined by winning car owner Chip Ganassi, the number 42 Target Chevrolet. Chip, I mean, this is getting old hat, winning here at Michigan International Speedway, but that finish was far from routine. Could you please walk us through your feelings from your perspective?
Well, for so long, we struggled here for so many years, and we felt that it's hard when you struggle for so many years here. I mean, I think the last time we won here was with Sterling, with Dodge. I think we brought Dodge their first win here back in whenever, 2002 or something, or 3, somewhere around there. I don't know. And so obviously that was eons ago, but and then coming into this weekend, we obviously had a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement, knowing the past history of the team here. But quite frankly, we didn't have the best car today by any stretch. I think anybody could see, and as anybody could see, and Kyle just hung in there all day, and Chad just hung in there all day. The whole team. I just want to thank everybody on the team. It gets so redundant to hear that in these media conferences, but it takes so many people to do this, and it takes so much hard work on so many people's parts, and and we all know this business isn't getting any easier lately, and my hat's off to everybody on the team, because the countless hours and the hard work and having to listen to the media and having to listen to everybody the last few weeks that it's all falling apart and we're no good anymore, and we were below 23rd or whatever for 3 races in a row, and it's just, so my hat's off to the team for just hanging in there and not not listening to the critics and hanging in there. And like I said, we didn't have my man Chad here. He can tell you we didn't have the best car today by a long shot. And we were just lucky to put 4 on there with not too far to go. At the finish, I think, what, about 10 or 7 to go or something? Yeah. And so, you know, and I'll tell you, when you're in my position of, you know, this past week's activities with all the talk about Knoxville and going to Knoxville last night and not getting back here till 2 in the morning, and you know, I'm out on the end of the diving board there a lot of times, and so I appreciate when Kyle steps up and does what he did today, it makes it all worthwhile, obviously.
Well, one of the people that made that possible today was crew chief Chad Johnston. We're joined by Chad now. Chad, you didn't have the dominant car, but the team kept on working and working to get Kyle in position. Just please walk us through your strategy throughout the race to get Kyle in that position to win this race.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your strategy too.
Like Chip said, we didn't have the best car, and obviously most of the time the best car doesn't win. So we just tried to stick with it. We said coming in here we kind of drew a line in the sand, and we hadn't got the performance or the finishes the last 3 weeks that we felt like the car had speed-wise. We made some changes coming into this race aerodynamically to try to help the car, which I believe hurt it pretty bad in traffic. But it's hard to tell unless you bring it to the track. So we know where we missed it on that, and we just tried to keep ourselves in position and keep focused and try to keep him in the best situation that we could on tires compared to the guys around him. We put 4 on, and the cautions fell like we needed them to, and we were able to get 2 restarts on the outside. And then, he drove his butt off there at the end. And, we had a pretty bad start to the first start of the race was probably the worst restart he's had all year. But I definitely would say that the one at the end was probably the best one he's had. So, when it all counted and the cards were on the table, we were able to execute and come out of here with a finish better than what the car was capable of running. And you're going to win championships that way. So, it was a line in the sand, and we'll start over again and go into Bristol, which is going to be a really good track for us, and just start executing races before the last 10 start.
Okay, let's open the floor up for questions. If you have a question for either one of these gentlemen, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start here with Bob, then go to George, then to Matt.
Bob Parker's ESPN. Chip, how do you tell Kyle no the next time he asks if he can run a race the night before an event?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bob. I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I don't know. I mean, it's just a matter of looking at all the circumstances. I'll tell you, one of the reasons I did let him do it was the fact that this race didn't start until 3, and I think it had been like a noon start or something. I mean, he didn't get back here till 2:30 or so in the morning. So I don't know. I mean, it's and I think Kyle, I think he understands more and more the gravity of the situation as you drill into the fall or the late summer. And this was his last sprint car race of the season, so that's something we'll talk about over the winter, and I'm sure, and but it's there's no connection to this year or next year or how you do it the next time. I don't know.
So you weren't like looking for him to see if he was yawning or anything? Did you see any impact from last night on?
I mean, I gotta say though, I mean, I was questioning myself in the middle of the race there when I see us back in. We had obviously had not like Chad said, we didn't have too good of a start, and we were sort of mired in the middle of the top 10 there most of the day or something, but not by any stretch near the front. And so yeah, I mean, I had concerns, and I was getting ready to take a lot of heat in the media for that if we didn't have a good day. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to the thing when you're a team owner in any sport, it's easy to break your star athlete. It's easy to break them and slow them down. I mean, it's a lot harder to speed them up. And I just don't want to. I don't want to do something that's going to slow them down. And I think you run the risk of that when you have a talent like that wants to go drive other kinds of cars and things. I mean, I've never been a team owner to keep my drivers from driving other kinds of cars. But obviously, you want to do the best you can for the guy all the time and do what you can do. And I'm just, hopefully we can continue to do it. I don't want to make any promises. Yeah.
Go next. Same question. Let's go to Matt, then to Jerry. Let's go up front here to Matt.
Matt Crossman from NASCAR Wire Service. Can you describe any conversations you guys might have had under that red flag start or the red flag before the restart? And then what were you thinking when you saw him? I mean, it was 4 wide for a second. So first, what did you guys talk about? And then what were your thoughts when he executed that move?
It was just business as normal. We could leave it up to him. He's obviously the guy behind the wheel. He's more than capable of making those decisions. of what the best move's going to be, way more capable than I am. We just told him that he was on the best tires of everybody in front of him. We try to give him information that's going to at least make him feel like he's in an advantage. But at the end of the day, that's all him. I mean, we didn't play a part in that. We just put him in position, and he was able to make the restart and put the 78 in a bad spot. And we had fresher tires, and I mean, it was pretty straightforward.
Before we continue on with questions, we are now joined by our race winner, Kyle Larson, who drives the number 42 Target Chevrolet. And as we announced here earlier, Kyle, you became the third driver here at Michigan International Speedway to win 3 straight races. The other 2 are in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, David Pearson and Bill Elliott. So pretty good company there.
Yeah, that's some awesome company for sure. No, it was a awesome finish for us. Kind of a struggle all day, honestly. I felt like I was good when I could find clean air on my car, but anytime I'd get any bit of dirty air or any bit of the wake from the car in front of me, I'd get extremely loose, even when I wasn't close to anybody. So we definitely didn't have the car that we had here the last 2 times we won, but we kept fighting, probably even harder than we did in those other 2 wins. So caught a caution at the right time there to line up 8th on fresh tires. Got to 5th, and then edged in front of Chase for 4th as the caution was coming out, and that allowed me to line up behind Martin and get a good restart. I was running a few different options through my head under that red flag of what to do, and that one was one of them, and it played out exactly how I had hoped. And so yeah, this win feels amazing, to steal one in a way. And my other 3 wins, I felt like we had the first or second best car, but today at times I didn't think we were a top 10 car, but to get the win that way is awesome.
Go next to Jerry, then to Pete, and then we'll go to Taylor.
Jerry Jordan, King of the Tires.net and Pierre. Glad you're here. Chip, he doesn't need much sleep. He's young. He's good at this open wheel thing. Does this earn him a spot of maybe going in the Indy 500 or something now?
See what you do to me?
I didn't put him up to it, so don't get mad.
That's a great question, Jerry. That's a great question. Anybody else have any questions?
Your response?
Mine?
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know. We'll see. Indy 500 is definitely on my bucket list. I don't know if it is right now at this moment, but for sure someday I'd like to, and Chip knows that.
Go next to Pete, then to Taylor, then to Bob.
Pete Todich, Fast Lane Sports Show. I have 2 questions, I guess. One's for Chad, one's for Kyle. First one for Chad is, you guys are obviously solidly into the playoffs. So how do you approach the next couple races before they start, and how do you keep the team focused on the next few races without looking ahead to the playoffs? And my question for Kyle is, did you learn that move on that last restart from your win at Wayne County Speedway in June?
Can you ask that question again?
Oh.
Yeah, my question for Chad is, you guys are solidly in the playoffs. You obviously are going to be in there. How do you keep the team focused on the next couple of races before the playoffs start?
We've got a great group of guys, and we go into each week trying to win the race. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate this tonight, and then Monday we're going to re-rack and work on our Bristol stuff, and we're going to go there guns a-blazing, and we're usually pretty fast there and can lead some laps, and I think we learned a lot on how to adjust the car as the race goes, and we're going to try to put 3 more wins together and see if we can't gain some bonus points and close that gap to the 78 car.
And then my question, no, I mean, these are double file restarts. All-Star Series is single file restarts, so you can't really learn anything off of that stuff.
Okay, we'll go to Taylor, and then to Bob, and then the gentleman here in the gray.
Taylor DeSormo with MLive.com. Kyle, for you, before that final restart there, how much were you thinking about your final corner last night at Knoxville, and when you kind of dove into the corner and almost got the victory there?
I wasn't thinking about last night at all. Pretty much, yeah, I mean, maybe when I first woke up this morning, you think about it, but once I got changed and into the garage, I didn't think about last night at all. It was all about today and what I needed to do to win. So I wanted to make sure that my team and everybody knew that I was focused on the Cup weekend, because I think a lot of times it's easy to see my passion for sprint car racing is me not being focused on Cup, but that's definitely not the case. Anytime I strap in any car, I'm focused on that day and that race. So today was all about the Cup Series, and I was focused on it and got the win.
Go next to Bob, and then to the back, the little guy in the red, Titus.
Bob Hockress, ESPN. Kyle, did running last night impact your performance at all today? Not necessarily even from a performance standpoint, but just from a mental or attitude standpoint?
I think so. I woke up this morning extremely confident about today, just being able to race last night and have a lot of fun and get close to winning. I woke up with in a really, really good mood and a lot of confidence too. I felt like I was going to win when I woke up this morning, and then we got to the midpoint of the race. I'm like, man, don't feel like I want to win now, but we just kept fighting and got it done. So yeah, I mean, your mind and your positive thoughts and everything is so important in life in general. And today we had some not so positive thoughts, I guess, going when I kept lining up on the bottom, but we got to think positive and line up at the top at the end.
So would you have been in a sour mood if you had not been allowed to race last night?
I would not have been in a sour mood. I would have been in a sad mood. I probably would have had a box of tissues next to my bed last night after I knew I didn't get to run the Knoxville Nationals, but that wasn't the case.
Go to this gentleman here in the gray, then we'll go to Titus, and then we'll go upstairs to the press box.
Erik Young with the superspeedway.com. Kyle, to build on Bob's question a little bit, how important is it to you to be able to run another series, to be able to go run sprint cars, and do you think that contributes toward your success here on the Cup side?
Yeah, no doubt. I think anytime I get to race any type of car, whether it be a go-kart or a sprint car, anytime I'm getting laps, I feel like it's helping me be a better race car driver, and especially when I can get in that stuff and win, it helps my confidence when I get into the Cup car. So, I get to race quite a bit throughout the year, and this year I've had a really good year in everything, really, but especially in the dirt stuff, and I think that for sure carries over to Sundays. So, hopefully, I'm not racing anymore the rest of the year in the dirt stuff, but hopefully this momentum and stuff that we can get in the Cup Series can carry out through the playoffs and on the Homestead.
Titus?
Hello, I'm Titus Smith with Scholastic News Club, and I was wondering, how many push-ups can you do?
40 or 50? I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, I think I could do about 40 or 50 in a row. I don't know if that's good or bad or what, but Danica could probably do more, so it's probably not very good.
Let's go upstairs to the press box.
Two questions, one for Kyle Larson, one for Chad Johnston. First of all, congratulations, Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Kyle, I have a follow-up question, was Bob Poncras asked earlier. How difficult was it to convince Chip that you could race in Knoxville last night? And the second question for Chad Johnston is, you said earlier that you struggled with the car, if I could understand correctly, speed-wise or aero package. You raced here earlier in the year, in principle, when your car is not so good. Can you not go back to the setup you had here earlier this year in the Michigan Speedway?
So my question, yeah, I mean, I was, and I'm sure Chip knew I was going to be nervous to ask him, but I'd known that other people had already been talking to him about me racing, and so I mean, I was really nervous to ask, but I'd already had a good feeling that he was going to let me race, even though he was being really tough about it there when I was talking to him. But yeah, I think our race team, Steve Aletta and the guys there on the marketing side, I think saw the opportunity in front of them with how much exposure I was going to get this week if I could run the Knoxville Nationals, and I think that I think Chip also understood that, and there's been so much exposure this week behind me, and to run good in both races will hopefully help us in search for a replacement sponsor at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, I've said it a bunch, and not only this week, but Chip's the best boss I could ever ask for.
Chad?
Yeah, to answer your question, it's one of those things, the sport and the cars evolve so quickly that if you brought back what you won with the previous time here, you'd be lucky to run 5th or 6th with it. So you're always constantly trying to make your cars better. Yeah, there's definitely, the good thing about it is there's only a few things that we changed, so it's pretty easy to backtrack on where we missed it. But you can rely on your notes from the last time, but you got to bring something better each and every time that you come, or you're not going to be able to compete with the guys that you want to compete with.
Okay, we're going to come back downstairs. We're going to go to John, the gentleman in the red, and then to Kelly.
Hi, guys. John Cupo, Shake and Bake, Cleveland, Ohio. First off, for Kyle and Chad, congratulations. I heard there's a nasty rumor, since you guys pretty much own Michigan now, that the Wolverines are going to wear Target uniforms when they play Ohio State this year. So congrats. My question is actually for Mr. Ganassi. You have 3 wins now in Michigan, and you get to go home and celebrate 6 Super Bowls with the Steelers. Is there anything I can bring home to pass along to that disgrace of a football team we have on finding talent and also winning?
I don't know where to start with that one. I don't know. Draft the best athletes, I guess. I don't know. That's what I try to do. You got to take the best guy that's available. When you have an opening, you got to do whatever it takes. Like I did with Kyle, you got to do whatever it takes to get the best guy that's available. When you have an opening in your organization, I think at any level, you got to look at that position and you got to say, who's the best guy out there available? And maybe if he's not available, you try to make him available.
Okay, we'll move on to the gentleman here in the red.
Matthew Copeland, WTOL. Kyle, this is for you, but all of you can chime in on this. Kyle, you're one of, part of the younger generation of drivers moving in. Can you talk to me about that, what it's like to inherit this torch? I mean, Jeff Gordon is gone, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leaving. What is it like to inherit, the new generation of NASCAR?
Yeah, it's I think it's exciting times. I think a lot of fans right now are kind of sad that we're losing Junior and some other veterans and stuff that are out of rides right now. But I think it's a great opportunity for our sport to take advantage of that and build on it. Market us young guys and try and bring in younger fans, more fans, and I feel like I'm in a great opportunity or a great position to kind of lead the way right now, maybe just because I have a couple more wins than some of them, but it's some exciting times for sure because there's a lot of young guys that are in the Xfinity or Truck Series that are well capable of being Cup drivers in the future if everything goes right. So it'll be interesting to see though how the next handful of years play out, but I think it's going to be great. Not saying it's a bad way, but I think it's going to be good when Dale Jr. retires. I think fans are going to kind of venture out and pick new guys, and they're not all going to pick the same guy, and I think that's going to add some excitement, some rivalries, and it's going to be good.
Kelly?
If I can add to that, I don't know that inherits what Kyle has in mind there. I think I'm sure he realizes, as everybody else in the sport does, that it's not about it. You got to earn your way every week in this business, and I think if you're waiting to inherit something, you're going to be disappointed. As time moves forward, you gotta. This is a performance business, I think, and you gotta. At the end of the day, you gotta have performance too, if you're gonna think about dethroning any of those guys.
Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com for Chad and Chip. When you don't have the best car today, but you see Kyle go up and make a move like he did, does that surprise you at all? The radio afterwards was obviously very excited, and it might have been Derek, the spotter, who somebody came over the radio and said, you driving SOB. Does something like that surprise you any more of what Kyle can do?
It doesn't surprise me. To me, he's the best talent out there, and if we can put him in position, I think you're going to get that outcome 99% of the time. The thing for us is just to give him a car that's fast enough that he can go out there and do what we all know that he can do. So I'm sure everybody realized the talent that he has way before that, but that definitely proves that you can never count him out, and he stuck with it, and he kept his head, and we were able to steal a victory, but nonetheless, it's still a victory.
Yeah, I would just echo those comments.
Kyle, when you took the lead and you look in your rearview mirror and you see him dicing 4 wide behind you, were you wishing that the overtime line was still in the middle of the backstretch?
I think anytime you get clear on a final or on an overtime restart, you'd like to see the line there. But no, I think the fans will get more excitement out of the rule kind of going back to how it was. But more stressful for me having to run another half a lap to get to the start-finish line and take the white. But yeah, and I was still pretty loose out front, so I had to make sure the 78 wasn't getting any closer to me.
Yeah, if I could just follow that up, I know the fans applauded the fact that change was made. What was the general consensus among drivers in the garage?
I think the drivers all agree that that honestly doesn't make a big difference, but that it was probably better how it was before. It was a concept that a couple of them in the drivers' council came up with, and in writing, I think it looked good at first, but I think once it played out a couple times, the fans didn't like it, because they kind of felt like they got robbed of a finish.
Matt, two-part question for Kyle. What exactly was your plan on that final restart? I've watched it 5 times. I can't figure out what you did on purpose and what you did on accident. And then the second part, what possibilities did you consider and then discard?
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of how it played out was my number one option. I wanted to time it and be able to get to his bumper and act like I was pushing him out to the lead, and then duck underneath him and get to his left rear quarter and pull him back. It's crazy how when you get to somebody's left rear quarter, how much it slows them down, and it did just that. And I wanted to do it at the right time where the 77 was, I would be kind of clear him, and I got clear him, and I looked at my mirror, and Matt kind of scared me because I didn't expect him to be under the 77. But yeah, we were able to get clear off too. So it honestly worked out exactly how I had hoped it would. So I can't really believe it.
Matt? Would it surprise you that, well, two follow-ups. Truex said he let you hit him on purpose, so it sounds like he did what you want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you have any other options? Did you consider doing anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably wanted me to get locked to his bumper. I don't know, but he probably wanted me to get locked to his bumper and just push him to clear him in front of the 77 and him be smooth sailing. But yeah, I mean, it worked out where I was kind of locked to his bumper and pulled underneath him and got to his quarter at the right time.
Go upstairs for one final question from the press box.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Chip, I was just wondering if you could give us an update on how the sponsorship situation looks for Kyle next year. And earlier this year, we saw where a sponsor in NASCAR said they were going to get out for next year, but then decided to come back and re-sign for multiple years. And is that a possibility with Target as well?
Yeah, I don't know what the possibilities are there. I don't right now. I don't see a path for that at Target. I mean, you might want to say something to him yourself, but I don't see anything happening there. In terms of the outlook, I mean, we're talking to some people, but if anybody has any ideas, I'm all ears.
Well, gentlemen, great show today. Congratulations on the victory. Good luck next week in Thunder Valley at Bristol. Take care now.
Thank you, guys.